What's going on, guys? Happy Sunday. Let's get started here, and we will get everything going shortly. Let me see. Just give everyone a few minutes to get on, guys. Just start this thing up now. We will get started shortly. What's going on? What's going on? Just going to give everyone a few seconds. This is going to be a public study session, guys. So just I'm going to have to share on social here real quick, and we will get started. Very, very excited. So you guys know last week was pretty chaotic, kind of referring it to as a black swan event, and I'm going to talk through a lot of the action that we saw and occurred last week. So pretty excited to jump in and take a deeper dive into it. Let me just quickly get this link going, and we will get fired up. Kind of referring it to as a black swan event. Let's get this. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Just going to get everything going, and we will then jump into it. Appreciate everyone just waiting for a second, and awesome. Hopefully everyone's having a nice weekend. Okay, live now. Here we go. Live now. Let's see. Okay, one sec. No barking today. All right, get started in about 2 seconds here. Apologize for my puppy barking. She may bark a bunch throughout the session, so that's what you get for having a crazy dog. Okay, 1 sec here. Just posting, guys, and we're gonna get started here. Just want to get everyone involved. Make sure everyone's on time. Starting live now. Okay, live now for the studies. Awesome. I'm going to jump into it in about a minute, guys. Hope everyone had a nice weekend. Super excited. I got prepped about a couple hours for this. I've been looking forward to this all weekend, to be honest. I really enjoy going through these sessions. We've had thousands of positive feedback over the years, and these are always great sessions. Okay, and awesome. Okay, and as people are sort of piling through, what's going on? Blue Seat from New York. Hello. Thanks for jumping on. I will jump into it, guys. As I mentioned, hope everyone had a great weekend on Spud from Spud Zone. If you guys haven't heard of me and know of me, I've been around for many years, trading small caps, large caps, options, anything under the sun, particularly related to U.S. equities. If you could follow us here on YouTube. You could follow us here in Discord. We have about 25,000 folks in the Discord. You can obviously jump in and check out there. Tons of learning content, educational content. I'm here to teach, coach. That's what I love doing. And so we're going to talk through last week. It was pretty chaotic. To be honest, folks, I'm so excited. I have not seen this type of liquidity, range gap percentage, and really just chatter out there on sort of the micro small cap space. Probably back to, if you guys were trading back in late 2020, maybe the summer of 2020, going into the fall of 2021, I have not seen these drastic types of moves. And when there's a ton of noise, a ton of liquidity, a ton of dollar volume exchanging hands, it's even super vital and important to really trade your plan, have an edge, and really take advantage of the trade opportunity, whether it's a long for upside, whether it's a washout long, a quick washout long, midday, intraday, catching backside on the short, on the downside on FFIE, whatever it may be, have an edge and trade well. And we're going to talk through a lot of those. What does an edge mean? How to zone out the noise, etc. to talk through a lot of that today as well. So first off, let's go into it. If you guys missed the action last week, the topics of discussion this week are 5 steps for me here. Did we see a black swan event in small caps? I think so. It was pretty crazy. When you wake up at 4 a.m. and you have 10 tickers up over 100% in the 10 cent to 50 cent radius on very large volume, that's unheard of. I mean, I have not seen a market like that, as I mentioned, in probably 3 or 4 years now. So when you start to see some craziness like that, you start to see on the buy side algos from sell to buy, and the volume picks up times 10, times 20, times 30 on a lot of these tickers. There's opportunity to make money. There's opportunity to make trades. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of folks out there who I saw, great traders. Obviously not going to name anyone, but I saw folks chasing on the short on the front side the first Monday through Wednesday and absolutely destroying themselves, down $500,000, million plus. I'm seeing folks get absolutely annihilated out there just chasing on the short. And we're going to talk through that specific ticker that absolutely churned a couple $1 billion on the week in liquidity, a micro penny cap that started at 5 cents, trading billions of dollars. I know that sounds so crazy, and that's what it did. And I have not really seen anything like that really in my trading career. There's a few tickers that come to mind, but very limited, probably a list of less than 5. We're going to jump through that FFIE ticker today. We're going to talk through the price action, what happened, where it can go, what it can do, and potential levels to play off of. Second thing here is, what do I look for in identifying a trade setup? My 3 rules. I'm going to discuss that. And then 3, we're going to talk through price action, how I look to identify entries and exits. Washout longs really working in this market. Washout longs are really working in this market. Let me repeat myself. I'm going to discuss that, what that means. A lot of folks, new traders, seasoned traders, whatever that may be, what's a washout long? I'm going to talk through that. That's a lot of my personal strategy, how I trade potentially intraday. That particular edge and strategy works really well when things are moving really quickly on a lot of volume, because there's a lot of whipsaw up and there's a lot of whipsaw down and stop loss rates. You could potentially use that washout long method and methodology to maybe potentially make a couple of trades. I'll show some live examples of what happened last week, a few trades that I also did take. 4, we're going to talk through the watch list this week. Let's get studied. Let's get prepped. What we're going to see this week, what I'm looking for, how I want to see things. I don't want to see things just go straight up every day. I don't like that, because then you see a Friday where the backside could be absolutely outrageous to the downside. And we saw that. FFIE hit a 389 on Friday. It closed right around $1, hit 72 cents in after hours. That's an 80% swing within 3 or 4 hours on $1.5 to $2 billion of liquidity being sold. So that's a huge move. I'd rather see a little bit more less craziness, but crazy in terms of range percentage. So I'm hoping that starts to pick up this week. More eyes, more chatter, more volume, more algos, etc. So that's going to be the watch list this week. And then 5 is a really key one I mentioned in the beginning of the prep session, how I'm looking to zone out the noise and trade with the plan. Staying sort of off the social media, trying to focus on the technicals, trying to focus on the price action. As you guys know, if you've been following me over the last 5 or 6 years, you guys know I really embrace the price action. I really sort of talk through that. I use that for my edge and sort of conviction on an intraday level. So we're going to talk through all this. I'm really super excited to dive into this session. And let's get into it. So really the first thing I want to cover is this FFIE ticker. Now, if you're new and don't know what this is, last week, let's just say for an example, I'm going to pull up a daily chart. Everything's candlesticks here. Let's pull up a daily chart at FFIE. For those that missed this thing started Monday morning at about 5 to 6 cents, guys. The low actually was 4 cents. 4 cents on Monday morning, 4.5 cents. Isn't that crazy? This hit $3.90 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 days later on that morning, the afternoon. This hit $3.90 a share from 4 cents. That is absolutely insane. Now, I've seen thousands percent gains, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 over a period of time or duration. I've seen that. I've been around trading for a while. I've seen that. What I have not seen is a 3,000% move straight to the upside without any meaningful type of downside, backside, pullbacks. Nothing. I mean, not even a chance to breathe, not even a breath of fresh air, where you can maybe get a long washout entry, or maybe a short just trying to top tick. You saw none of that. And I think that is why this name went so super, like, I don't even know the word for it. It was such a supernova, and just kept churning every short trying to top tick, and absolutely blew out people to the upside. Blew out. I'm sure so many people got caught absolutely with their pants down on the short on this. Now longs, I'm sure people sold up 50%, 100% thinking, wow, what a great trade. And this just kept running and running and running. It's an anomaly. This does not happen 99.999% of the chance. This does not happen. But the 1%, the 0.001% chance you get an absolute supernova move. Now let's think about this. When you have a stock that starts running 300, 500, 1,000% gains in a day or multi-day or a week, the light bulb in my head goes off as a trader, and I say, okay, for everyone who missed this particular move, right? What is FFIE? It looks like it is an EV or some type of future intelligence company, electric company. It looks like it's out of New York. The price started at around 4 or 5 cents. Okay, is there any similar companies that are getting volume to this, or any similar type of volume, right? Maybe not necessarily trading at 1 billion plus shares a day yet, but is there anything trading a couple 100 million shares, or anything that looks similar in terms of the price, right? Anything around the 5 cents, anything that's EV related, anything that's electric related, efficiency related, anything, right? What happened was I look for sympathies. And what I mean by a sympathy trade is a name that can start to mirror the imaging of a trade that is going extremely well on a long side, which was the FFIE trade. And so what I noticed on scan was this ticker CRKN. And this was an energy efficiency, carbon emissions sort of play. Now, where was that price action? This started at around 4 or 5 cents. So, okay, it checks that box. It checks the similar price box. It checks the similar sector box. Okay, maybe this could be a sympathy. As FFIE starts to run, maybe this will start to run. So we look at the daily chart here, and on Monday morning, okay, it's up 6%, up 3%, -2, and it kind of took all week to kind of follow through. And then actually Thursday, Friday was insane. This thing gapped up 419% in one day. Then all the way ran to 60 cents, all the way from the low of 6 cents. That is 1,000% sympathy play in just a 48-hour period. So you could have jumped in at the lows of 6, 7 cents and potentially rode this into the 40s, 50s, into the 60s range, which is quite impressive. And so when you have that much kind of range and volume, I always look for, there's a supernova trade, and this comes with experience, guys. And so I've been doing this a long time. Every time there's like a supernova like this, there's typically always a sympathy trade. So this week, if FIE somehow magically goes to $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, maybe 10 plus, who knows where this can go? This could go to, it could go to 20. It could go to 0, of course. I have no idea where this is going to go this week. I don't think anyone does. But what I do know is I have a trading plan. And if that continues to go up, I'll be looking at this name as a sympathy, as if that's going up, this can go up potentially with it. So I'm going to watch. Obviously, there's outside anomalies that can play out, whether there's offerings or late filings, or you saw AKAN that had an offering midday, had unbelievable price action, was squeezing out shorts, and then did an offering. I think it was a shelf or maybe a cap raise. I didn't read the offering. I just saw it and think got absolutely pummeled. So you do have to be careful around that, because these are micro stocks. So what's really important for me is I love to use stop losses, trailing stop losses. So when I enter the position, I'll talk through that later. You can kind of ride up, and if it does slam hard on you, you have that stop loss in place. You sell out, and you have with profit. So that's what I always like to sort of do when things are moving really fast. So I'm going to talk through the FFIE trade, sort of what I'm looking for and what I look for in a day trade setup. I have 3 rules when it comes to a day trade setup. I want to go back to FFIE. First off, if you're a new trader, I love to use the 5-minute candlestick chart. If you're not used to using candlesticks, I highly recommend just checking it out. It's a great tool to learn about price action. Whether you use it to trade or not is obviously fully preference and up to you. But it's a really good tool in terms of understanding price and sort of range gap percentage. And so I want to talk through, let's go here. I want to talk through sort of what I look for in a day trade setup, right? One, the first thing I look for, guys, is volume and liquidity. How many shares are being traded on the name? What's the average volume on the day that typically normally trades? That's the first thing I look for. So how many dollars, are being exchanged hand to hand, right? So this name traded over $1 billion plus on just Friday alone. That's outrageous for a micro stock. I can't even call this a penny stock. This is a nano stock that just moved to a micro stock. And so I look for liquidity. Can I get in and out of a name with size? Can I get in with 100,000 shares? Can I get in with 200,000 shares? At 20 cents. Can I get in with half a million shares and get in and get out very easily? And on this name, you could. The algos were so strong and the liquidity was so great, you can jump in and out. So that's the first thing I look for. Can I get in and out with size? Is there major liquidity going on within this ticker? Okay. I don't care if the company sells garbage cans. If there's trading $1 billion plus in a day, and there's an opportunity to trade it on the long or short side, I'm in to trade it. Second thing I look for is what I call range gap percentage. Now, for new traders, you're probably like, what the heck does that even mean, right? Range gap percentage. Range gap percentage is when, for me, my definition of that is when a ticker can move drastically up and down in a small period of time, right? So if it's going 10 cents to 12 cents to 13 cents and it's jumping, sort of like a jump, things are moving quickly, right? So we have liquidity as number one rule. Number two rule is range gap percentage, or things moving fast up and down, where you can take advantage of jumping in for a quick percentage gain, right? And then the third thing is the technicals have to align for that trade idea. So for me, those are the three things that enable me to take a position as a day trader in any particular equity out there. Does it have liquidity? Yes. Does it check that box? Great. Does it have a range gap percentage? Is it moving fast up or down? Yes. The third is technicals. What is technicals? Okay. I match the technicals. So like where is there an entry that looks particularly interesting? And I didn't really trade FFIE at all last week, but what I did trade is the sympathy, crankin, or whatever you say, crownkin, whatever it is. However, I traded off of it. And so I want to talk through, I had a great week trading this name. I'm going to talk through some similar areas where I can talk through technicals, along with the washout ideas I had earlier. So we kind of jumped through, we did one, we did two. We're talking about sort of topic number 3 here, the price action, how I look to identify sort of trade setups. So if we look at this, let's go all the way up to sort of Friday's action, okay? So on the CRKN name, this thing absolutely ripped Friday, hit all the way 52 cents, right? And there was a great trade on it. It might have been Thursday. This was Friday. Here. So this was Friday. So what's a washout long? I want to talk through what a washout long is. I'm seeing a ton of DMs around that. So I'm going to talk through that. In the morning, this gapped up. I traded it in here, sold up in here. It was a nice, quick 5-10 minute scalp. As I mentioned, guys, this is the 5-minute candlestick chart. So these are quick moves. Each candle right here represents a 5-minute period. So as you can see, out of the gates, plus 18%, plus 6%, really probably peaked at like 10, 12%. And then it sort of flushed out. End of day, here's a great opportunity of what is a washout long. So you get a 5% down, 17% lick here. You get an 18% down lick, all the way down to about 15 cents with a huge volume candle. 60 million shares were bought and sold in this area. That tells me there's a huge amount of short covering. There's a huge amount of buying interest in that zone, right? Which is basically the 15 to 17, 18 zones. Right after these two basically 35% down candles, we saw a 16% 5-minute candle, a 16% 5-minute candle, and another basically 2 to 5%. Guys, so that's a 35 to 38% move if you caught anything dipping here over a 15-minute period. That is a beautiful definition of what a washout long is. You could buy in here on the absolute panic because liquidity, as we go back to my trade rules, the liquidity is so strong. It trades 80 million shares in between on this 10-minute lick and then takes another 60 to almost 80 here. So 160 million shares in 5, 10, 15, in a 25-minute period, 160 million shares. Look how much opportunity that is. 35% down, 35% up. Look how fast that can happen. So that's what we call a washout long. Buying in here, selling the rip quickly in here within a 5-10 minute period. Washout longs tend to really work during these black swan events, when things are really sporadic, when algos are going crazy, when there's so much volume on the names, there's going to be huge downfalls, there's going to be huge upticks. You're just there hoping to take a little piece of the cherry off the pie where you can actually be able to scalp a large volume move. You don't need to be in this name all day long and hope that it goes up or hope that it goes down if you're short. You can just basically trade off the washouts. You can trade off the blowouts to the upside. So there's different ways of trading this. So that's what we call a washout long. There's another washout long opportunity on FFIE and after hours. This thing sold off super hard. It didn't have any bounces at all. If you look at that trade, you really didn't look at, you didn't really see any bounces. I'm going to sort of jump into this name more. We peaked at 380s and we just absolutely started to sell off on major volume. So even here, we didn't get as much of a bounce. We got about a 38%. Actually, that is a substantial bounce. 38% bounce after this bottom tick throughout the day. And then most people that probably went long in this area thought we might maybe do a pop back on a Friday back to you buy the low mid ones and pop back to like a 240-ish. Never got it. Actually raids down further, sells out everyone, stop loss rate into close. We now break 130 plane and we get into this 75-cent zone. And it's so funny how this name bounced so hard off 75 cents on Friday and after hours. And why? Why did it do that? It was so funny because as I was looking at it in the ones, I'm like, I'd love to see this at 75 cents on Monday. I'd love to maybe try a position. Now, why? Why? Let me look. The technicals down in here. The huge run started at around 75 cents on Thursday. On Thursday sort of morning. That was a pretty strong support. And you can see this blue line is the horizontal line here. This was a huge support for the name before the monster run really occurred and blew out the ones. And so what actually happened on Friday and after hours, which I actually completely missed, it was, and you can understand why. It's Friday after hours, and it was only at this level for about 3.5 minutes. So you had to be pretty quick. But this FFIE traded, about 3 million shares quickly at 75 cents. And then look at this snapback. 30, 40 minutes later, this snaps back all the way to $1.13. So you could have done nothing on this name all day, but played the 75 trend line, 72 cents, 75 cents trend line down in here, guys. And sold this pop back for 75 cents, 50%, 40, 50% equity gain in an hour. I mean, that is crazy to me. That is another prime example of a washout long opportunity. When names are trading such high volume, as I mentioned, this finished 1.2 plus billion shares traded on the day, traded over $2 billion in liquidity value for a name that started 5 cents a couple of days earlier. When a name is trading like this much volume, guys, this has to be a top watch for next week. So there's $3 to $5 billion plus traded on this name last week. This is going to be a top watch for me this week. And so as I mentioned, this will be the top focus. CRKM will be my secondary focus based on the price action I've seen from both tickers. Okay. And so those are kind of the two names I wanted to really focus on. I now want to jump into the watch list, the fun part, what everyone's sort of looking forward to this week. And then I want to talk through different sets of watch lists. I have 3 watch lists this week, 3 different sets of tickers. One is the micro small cap. If you've noticed the trend last week, anyone who was trading, the trend was basically sub 50 cents, sub $1, really sub 50 cents. Anything sub 50 micro level was getting major pops. And you saw so many sporadic pops at 4 to 7 a.m. I mean, as I said, I would open my phone, I'd get to the monitors, I'd get to the desk, and it was 10 or 15 names up 100% plus. I mean, at 4 in the morning. It's crazy the liquidity out there that randomly, sporadically occurred from the GameStop AMC craze. This is great to have eyes on the trading market. There's going to be a lot of opportunity to trade. Just take advantage of it. Study your actual butt off so that you can prepare for sort of once in a decade, once every 4 or 5 year opportunities like this, guys, because these things do not come often. And when they do, if you could take advantage of any type of cherry on top or just take advantage of anything, these are great trading opportunities, sort of day in and day out. So let's jump into the watch list. We got micro small caps, then sort of a regular watch list name, some of the meme stocks I'm watching in there, because that's what really ignited the algo run. And then sort of just 4 names that have really positive daily charts that I look for sort of that momentum-based camp that could potentially continue higher if momentum continues. So first name on the watch list, the micro cap, was FFIE. The second was CRKN. Third one was CYN, had, I think, earnings last week, I can recall. Or maybe they had news last week. Another sort of sub-micro AI penny play. It's traded a little over 450 million shares on the last 2 days. So, it's decent volume. It's been rejected really hard around that 15-16 mark. So if you see that 15-16 mark, pop up over, that's sort of an area of interest for me. Quickly go back to FFIE just so we know where my sort of the levels I'm looking at. 75 cents has to hold for the bulls. Under 75 cents, you could get that flush out to about 60 cents, 50, 55 cents. That's the second level of interest. So my 2 levels of interest on this name is I'd like to see how the name trades at 75 cents as well as 50 cents. Anything on the upside, I'd like to see a clean break, a 142 on FFIE, along with maybe a push under here where there was bidding, but broke around that 250 plane. See how all these wicks kind of got bought up, wick, and then to our FOMO trade into that squeeze panel. So, I'm watching these levels here on FFIE for cranking, for Crown Electric. This is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this bottom bar here, which is about 11 cents. It actually hit that on Friday at 7 p.m. and bounced really hard off of it. It hit that 11 mark and then went all the way to 16, which is a 60% equity move within a 1 hour period. That's just crazy to me. 60% in 1 hour from bottom to top, 50, 60%. That's crazy. So I'm looking at that 10, 11 cents, 12 cents mark on CRKN. Keep an eye on that level. If it does hit, I'll be watching bounce levels down there. CYN, I mentioned, really needs to break that plane. These are the 1 hour charts I was looking at. Really needs to break this plane. I don't like how everything's getting rejected up in this 16, 17, 18. So if it breaks that 16, 17, 18, I'd be inclined to trade it into the 0.20s. That's CYN. SPCB actually had some really good earnings the other day. Now that earnings are out of the way, this isn't a really small cap name, 20 cents name, so it fits in that realm. As I said, this name also needs to blow out the 26, 27 cents to get back into the 30s, 40s, 30s, 40s. BNED, that's Barnes & Noble's. Probably everyone heard of this name. This, I believe, is sort of like a BK bankruptcy play. Be extra cautious, obviously, with this one. But this thing popped really hard on Friday. It could have just been a one-day pop. Just keep it on the radar. It's a watch list name. It does have a full-on gap to 67 cents. So I will watch that plane if it continues to get momentum. And then this is a tricky one. No volume, but it used to have a lot of volume about 10 days ago, is Chicken Noodle Soup here. Chicken Soup Company. So CSSE. It's actually, on a daily chart, it's holding up its plane pretty nice. It's showing a little bit right arm wedge here. If this name sort of breaks out above this 40 cents channel, watch out above. This thing could get fast pretty quickly into the 50s, 60s, 70s. There's a full-on gap all the way to 70 cents up into a buck. And this is obviously a similar trend to what seems to be running lately as these sort of 10, 20, 30 cents sort of plays. No position in any one of these names. These are purely just technical watch lists that I like to put together every Sunday night. And if you're not in the Spud Zone, I highly recommend checking it out. As I mentioned, we have thousands of premium members. You could come check us out. Link is in the Discord. My tech team will probably put it below. Feel free to jump on in. So those are the micro small cap watches. Feel free to get a pencil and sort of write these down. It's FFIE, CRKN, CYN, SPCB, BNED, and then CSSE. Regular watch list names, these are more sort of the meme focus, and I'm not into the social media meme thing by any means. If you follow me, you know I don't really talk about it. You know I don't really care about it. I just care about price action and trading the price. And so TUP is sort of this price action that sort of jumped on my radar. It looks like the float's about 20 to 25% short. So that seems to be sort of a hot topic lately. The AMC GME had some explosions. Let me quickly do some hardcore live technicals here. Sort of at was that top tick? That 240, 250 plane is a 1 top, 2 top, 3 top. Someone's supposed to say 4. 2023, 2023, 2024. So that's sort of the top right now. You break over 250. I'd be inclined to play it over 250. Look at all this substantial upside over this 250 line. I don't think any fireworks unless that 250 breaks. 250 breaks, plenty of opportunity up into the 3s and 4s here. Lots of opportunity. So that's a potential 50, 100% upside wave if that 250 breaks. As I said, no edge down here under that level. Above that level, I'd like it for some potential upside. Obviously, as an algo as well. If you see algo sort of buy up the bid over 250, there might be a move coming. So keep an eye on TUP. I like that one as a potential technical chart play. AMC, GME for all the memesters. These two names had 2 record days. I mean, it was 2 days and then they just fell off a cliff. They literally jumped off a cliff, came back to earth, dug a hole and went back into its nesting. I mean, this is crazy. Look at AMC. This thing goes from $3 to $11. And it's back at 4 round trip within a full week. I mean, just crazy. Keep an eye on this level here. We got the 1 hour chart sort of maybe bottoming, maybe looking, maybe get some interest around this. Same thing. Let me put my technical chart live on the spot here. This bottom wick here, maybe around $4. $4, maybe inclined to play it back into the 5s, maybe get a 20, 30% interval, maybe. So I'm looking at AMC. GameStop technicals are just disgusting, and it's too sporadic for me. I'm staying away from anything technically related. GameStop, it does what it wants when it wants. So sort of staying away. Another highly shorted name, EV name, sort of fits the spectrum of the sort of EV electric names that have been squeezing lately. Although this one's above $1, so it's not a micro cap. And typically anything over $3, $4, $5, usually gets more interest anyway. More people are allowed to play without fees. So keep an eye on Mullen. The 1 hour chart, my sort of horizontal line is right in here, around that 450 trend line, even up here to 470, 450. I'll be keeping an eye on that 450 level. Maybe get some hype next week, this upcoming week. Daily charts holding up pretty well. Has to really hold this level here and then come back and climb into the 5s to really retest those 7s. So keep an eye on that one. Now we're going to talk through 4 tickers that have had really bullish price action this week. First ticker is CTNT. Looks like this is a recent IPO. Yeah, looks like this is a recent IPO. It's rallied from daily chart. This thing has rallied in 3 days from three bottom tick here up into all the way to 1089, closed at the highs. Wow, very impressive. Sort of a sleeper. Traded pretty good volume. Traded about $30 million worth on Friday. Traded another 20 something million on Thursday. Pretty good liquidity, guys, if you ask me. It also traded at the highs. CTNT, worth on the radar for all the long momentum traders. It is now way above any highs. It's now sort of in price discovery mode, as I like to call it. It's above those highs. CTNT, keep on the radar for a bullish momentum continuation trade. CareCloud, CCLD, another one that's sort of on my momentum scanner. It's sort of breaking this 240, 250 threshold. Has some gaps up to the immediate low 3s. It did close sort of near the highs. You had a great session on Friday. Next bar for it to really tap is the 320 zones. Not as much upside as that CTNT if that keeps running, but this one looks pretty good. And then ASTS. This one was alerted in chat on Thursday at $3.20. $3.20. So right down in here. A quick immediate upside all the way to 450s for premium members. This was an unbelievable trade idea to start on Thursday morning. Actually, pre-market ads at 320s. and it was alerted as a swing trade. So 320s all the way, closed at 450s. Beautiful trade so far. What's that? 10, 20, 30, a little over 40%, which is a great trade so far in a 2-day period, 48 hours. This one, watching for some potential upside. If it continues, it did fill that gap and then got rejected right here in the 5 range. But this is sort of that chart here. We go back, live technical here. We got around that gap would be 490, so maybe another 5-10%. If it blows out the 5 zones, this thing could get up in here to 6s. It does have a pretty decent short float, and we do have some top wicks all at around 650. So 650, if this wants to keep running, maybe that's the area that it stops at, 650. So keep an eye on that. ASTS, they just had big news with AT&T. So keep an eye on that one. CSLR is the last positive momentum indicator that I'm seeing. Closed at highs on Friday. And has had a nice build up and run up. So do have to be careful because it has run up since around 25 cents all the way over $1. But doesn't mean, better late than never because, this name potentially could continue to run. There is gaps up to 140 and then 180s up in here. So that's another 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% upside if this name continues to run. It does have to break out of that 138 plane. Let me add this so I have it all week. This is that plane I'd really like to see break. And then he gets some upside into the 180s, maybe even a shot into the 2s. So that's 4 momentum names. If you're on pencil paper here or laptop with me, we have ticker CN, CTNT for momentum bullish indicator, ASTS, and we have CCLD, and we have CSLR. Don't worry if you're not writing these down. If you're a premium member, they will all be posted within the Discord tonight. So you don't even have to worry about any of that. You'll have all the charts. You'll have everything ready for you come Monday morning at 4 a.m. as always. So that's really it for today's session. I wanted to really just talk through that Black Swan event and how these types of trading opportunities are sort of sometimes once in a lifetime for folks if you could take advantage of it. A lot of people obviously can get blown up on the short side. A lot of people can get blown up on the long side. But specifically for me as a day trader, I'm looking to take advantage of the volatility, guys. Things can go up 50%, down 50% in a short duration of time. That is sort of a bread and butter focus area where you can make a substantial sort of great trade in a short duration time period, right? And so those 3 trading factors, if you're a new trader, the 3 things I like to look for as a reminder, right, is the liquidity, right? Is it trading a ton of volume and is there a lot of dollars exchanging hands? Is it range gap percentage, so up and down quickly in a quick fashion? And then how do we align the technicals, right? Your entries and exits. So that's sort of the 3 things I look at. Now, I also got a question earlier like, hey, how do you like know when to get out or know when to exit or sort of like that? Sometimes if a stock's running so fast to the upside, technicals sometimes don't really even mean anything. So what I like to do is I like to potentially, what we use is a trailing stop loss. Or you can manually sort of move your stop loss up as the ticker rises, or I guess drops if you're a short seller. If you're targeting lower, you can drop it down with, right? And in this market last week, short sellers got pretty banged up, rather quickly. So I suspect there's be a lot more caution on the short sell this week. So that potentially lead to more better long potential opportunities. So what you can do is use a trailing stop loss. It's kind of like a little sort of secret, not secret sauce for me. On those washout long opportunities, for example, like this one I played the other day, Crankin, or I don't know, I probably keep saying this damn thing, or Crown, whatever it is, right? So if you played the washout long right here, you could, take a stab in this zone, and then as it's starting to go up, you can set a stop loss like here and then move it up as it's going, keep it 5-10% behind the ticker, and it kind of keeps running up. Therefore, if you don't catch that top sell wick on the washout long, at least you moved it up to like here. So if it drops down to 24 cents, 25 cents, and you didn't catch the 28 cents, okay, you missed 10-15% of the upside, but guess what? You just gained 16 and another 15, 16. So you just gained about 30%, but great, you didn't sell the 40, but that's fine. You played it safe, you kept going. What happens if this rose to 36 cents, right? So you can always play when things are so sporadic like this during a Black Swan event. I like to use trailing stop losses because I can now navigate and feel comfortable with the ticker going. I don't like to not use stop losses during these time periods because if this kept crashing 15, 20, 30%, I'd rather have a hard stop at another 10% down. Maybe I get stopped out on that bottom wick. I'm okay with that. I'd rather stop out and lose that 10% instead of losing 30% not having a stop loss. So that's personal preference. Having stop losses, using trailing stop losses. And then the other question I got earlier was, how do you identify exits? That's pretty simple. I use technical analysis for that. So for example, if I was trading, maybe buying a dip in here, this has had trouble, this name, CRK, in around 43 cents. So if you bought it here and it curled back, where would I be looking to sell this name if I bought it at 36, 37 cents? 44 cents. 43 cents I'd probably sell before it gets there just to get a better fill potentially. 1, 2, 3, it's a 4 top there, which means there's a lot of supply or a lot of sellers taking profits or a lot of short sellers trying to hold that area. So if I were to buy the bid here and then walk it up and the thing starts to move, the ticker starts to move in a favorable direction, I would be looking to sell into that level, right? So for me, it's all technicals. I'm hoping this session's helpful. I'm kind of going through some of the secret sauce I use to trade intraday, some of the things that really help me intraday. But at the end of the day, you have your own account. You have to manage your risk. You have to be super disciplined and smart. And discipline is really key in this trading and sort of micro macro environment because as we saw last week, things were so sporadic both directions. So stop losses can really help. They save me a lot of sort of time and stress. They stop me out for losses. I'd rather get out with a small loss than a big loss. I cut my losses quickly. I try and let winners run, hence the trailing stop. On when things are moving to the upside. So this was a really good session for me. It helped me prepare for the watch list this week. I'm really excited for this week. I'm hoping to try and get a good night's sleep after this. I'll be up at 4 a.m. I was up at 4 a.m. 4 out of 5 days last week. So I'm just really excited. I haven't seen anything like this Black Swan, as I mentioned, since 2020, 2021. If you guys are interested in learning more, if you want to see more educational content, there's a lot more on the YouTube page. I will sit here for a couple Q&As if you guys have any. If you guys want to shoot some Q&As on the bottom. So you guys can sort of post some questions. I can answer some of them. I'll do about 10, 15 minutes because we stopped a little early today. I probably raced through that. Sorry if I talked quickly. But if you guys have any questions around trading, any questions around, I don't like to go into particular tickers, but any technical analysis questions, I'm happy to do sort of a quick synopsis on some of this stuff. So if you guys want to shoot some questions, great. And I'll try and take as many as I can in the sidebar comments. If not, if you guys want to disconnect, no problem, disconnect. You can see the Discord link. It's Discord-SpudZone. You guys can check us out. We have thousands of members, been around for a really long time. We have some great moderators, some great educational content. And I share my plays and trades live on what I'm thinking, what I'm seeing in the marketplace. Feel free to check us out in SpudZone, or you could follow us on StockTwits, on YouTube, or on Webull Community. Awesome. Shoot those questions in the sidebar, and I will try to get those to you guys shortly. And I appreciate everyone dialing in today. It was an unbelievable session. This will be recorded, as many people can't. I've already getting DMs saying they can you please record and send later. Happily send this or later. Okay, let's go. Questions are up. First sidebar question panel here. We got Joe Pantel. I'm starting with a small account, 5K. What would be a suggestion on growing the account? Swing trade or its options and how much per trade? 1/4 of the 5K per trade? Question mark. Thanks for your input. I mean, it's really all depends on your risk appetite. Obviously, I can't give a correct answer for that. Particular my experience with small accounts is I have a small account. Sort of rubric on how to sort of slowly build or trade on small accounts, and that is really you just kind of hit on the head using that 1/4 size rule. So if you have 5K, maybe only use 500 or 1,000 a trade. Therefore, you can get by the unlimited day trade thing. So if you're buying 500 or $1,000 worth of stock and you make 10%, you make your $50 or $100. You still actually have that 4,000 to trade on the day. If you burn one trade with the 5K, you can't trade on the rest of the day due to PDT limits. So I always like to use 1/10, 1/5 on small accounts just so you can sort of gradually build up. Once you get to that 25K mark, that's where you can kind of open things up a little bit more and play a little differently as you could potentially have the margin account. So you have a good starting base there. Good question. Harsh Singhani, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Let me dive into your question. Do you use the indicators RSI, MACD, MA180, etc.? To be honest, Harsh, I don't really try to overcomplicate things. I'm not a big indicator guy. I use VWAP for intraday focus particularly. Other than VWAP on swing trades in sort of a long investment account, I'll use some MAs a little bit just because market makers and sort of large funds, etc., professional traders, professional investment managers, they all use that sort of MA200, MA180 lines as sort of a bearish, bullish signal. So I'll use that on more big long-term swing trades or anything like that. In terms of day trade action on sort of this micro sector we just covered, I don't touch any of the indicators. I solely focus on price action. Where there's millions of dollars being bought, where there's millions of dollars being sold, and how I can potentially get in that range and make a positive trade out of it. So for me, it's really all about price action, and then taking that price action and pushing it into the puzzle piece of technicals, and then sort of aligning those two and then creating a trade sort of edge or conviction off of that. So, long story short, to answer that question, I don't really use any indicators as mentioned. Any other questions, guys? Keep shooting right now. We got Harsh with a great question. Joe Pantel with a great question. Any other questions, guys? Keep shooting. Keep shooting below. Let's see. Any other questions here? Fady B, how about Lucid? I'm not going to go into any particular tickers like that. But if there's any sort of technicals sort of that I can help answer or apply to, I'm happy to do so. I'll do another few minutes, guys. If you guys have questions, please write them on the sidebar in your YouTube section. There's still, I think we had 100 plus earlier. Now there's about 40 of you left. So if there's anyone else out there that wants to have a question, shoot it on the right and I'll dive into it. If not, I'll give it another minute or two and we'll jump off session and we'll keep doing these maybe all week. If the markets are continue to be hot again, I'm happy to do like a midweek panel again and sort of discuss and deep dive what happened Monday through Wednesday. So, yeah. Let me grab a sip of water here. I've been talking quickly. I'm already losing my voice. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions, guys, on the right. I appreciate everyone's time today. This was a great session. I will have this video posted on the YouTube. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, that would be awesome. It helps our marketing. It helps with everything. I will probably be, if you are a new member here, you could sign up on the Discord. We just finished our free trial on Friday. There probably won't be another one for a couple months now. Feel free to connect. It is $19.99 a month, you're allowed, and that gets full access to our community, education, live trades, different mods, etc. You can cancel anytime. Feel free to check us out in the Spud Zone Discord. If not, you can continue to follow us for free educational content and postings on StockTwits, Webull, here on YouTube. Appreciate everyone's support. Good luck this week. Trade smart, trade safe. Use that discipline. Use those good habits. Nail your spots and try and have a good week for yourselves. I wish everyone the best of luck and happy trading. Take care.